Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Week 6 podcast. As usual, we have Rob with us, and we have a special guest today, Michael from Degenerate Bastards. How's it going, Michael?
Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm happy to be on and add in another take along with Rob. Yeah, let's get this thing going.
Perfect. We're happy you can join us. Isn't that right, Rob?
Yeah, I'm always happy to have Michael join us.
Yeah,
We get, especially this year where we're completely segregated on our conferences here, to where I even notice that whole conference is going on. So it's really good to have somebody from that side come over and represent.
Yeah, exactly. We won't take we won't take a look at the standings. It's still early for our season, and let's just jump into it and talk about our conference first, Rob. And let's start with the younger green, El Oso Verde versus Kells. Wait, it's under 100, Rob. I know your rule of thumb with under 100.
Yeah, it's under 100, and 42 of them were from Ryan Tannehill. So it was, yeah.
Was he?
You got to say on this game.
Was he? Was your son sweating at home?
Oh, he sweats from the moment he wakes up in the morning till the end of the day. I mean, you kind of have to say, like, can you just kind of relax here a little bit? But yeah, trust me, I get an earful of El Oso Verde's team every week, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So it's this is a bogus game, man. I mean, he's got Tannehill. And he'll tell you that nobody else showed up, and I'll tell him that I had to pay $5 for each of these nobody pickups to show up, and there you go. So we hear an awful lot about Rodrigo Blankenship around the house. I thought he was interesting as a kicker for Georgia, but the only thing interesting in this game on the other side was that we'll save Aaron Rodgers for when it matters later, and Kyler Murray kind of doesn't. I mean, he didn't really seem like he played the 45 points, but he did. So it was like 9 of 24 or something on Monday night. That was a bad game. I don't have much to say on this game, guys.
Well, I think, you got your, even though it's a low-scoring game, it's one of those tight-scoring ones, and it was kind of quarterback versus quarterback, and where can you find anywhere else? And this was Kyler Murray benefited from our big play scoring. I mean, throws an 80-yard touchdown, basically a 15-point play, and I think that was the difference in it. Nolan just didn't really have, a bunch of single digits. He didn't score any touchdowns outside his quarterback position. So you get the 2 touchdowns from A.J. Brown on the other side, and I believe that was the difference.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, there's some big play scoring, but there's an even bigger play scoring in this one.
Yeah,
we're going to get to later. God. Oh, yeah. So anyway, Kyler Murray. Okay. Can we go to a better game, Sam?
I don't know if this is a better game, but it's the Gang Green versus Brady for rent. Yeah.
Dude, this is the game of the century. What the hell are you talking about? I'm not going to hang on this call any longer if you don't give me a little bit more like love here, man. Well, I'll talk about my team for a minute. It resembled healthy this week, sort of. They kind of played like they maybe kind of should have. It was nice to see Julio Jones actually running unabated.
Yes.
And it was also nice to see that, I mean, I've had a couple of weeks in a row where I was getting 57% efficiency ratings up there. So it was kind of nice to get back into the low A territory. It was a good week. Brady for rent, I did have the benefit of not playing Russell Wilson. And I had the benefit of him benching Ronald Jones, but then again, why wouldn't you bench Ronald Jones? It's not like so. I'll take the cheap wins, 137, 131. This game was a lot closer, but again, I'm going to save that for later. So then it should have been, but I'm going to save that for later. Michael.
I believe this game was almost handed to you just by roster construction on the other side. I just don't I don't understand playing a tight end in Tanyan. It's not like he's a top 3 tight end over the target monster of Robbie Anderson or the number 1 target in a Buffalo KC game with a over 55 points. So I think it was bad roster construction on Brady for rent's side. I mean, if he plays one of those other guys, then he's able to grab the win. And Juju Smith-Schuster, that guy's he's finished in the top 30 one time this season. Other than that, and if you think about it, 8 teams times 3 pass catchers. I mean, you're looking for top 24 type guys. And at this point, with the emergence of Claypool and Deontay Johnson being their number one guy, and I just don't see Juju being a factor at all this season.
Yeah, hey, I'm not going to argue that with you. It's the roster construction was a little unique this week. I mean, we, in case everybody hasn't read the rules, we have greatly changed the defense around now. So, the Colts against Cincy, I kind of give the Ravens and Philly. That game got a little out of hand. I don't know. I'd always run a skill position player out there instead of, a defense. And yeah, Stephon Diggs on the bench was unique as hell against Kansas City's defense. So I'll take it.
Yeah. Well, hey, congrats, Rob.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, hey, at the end of the year, wins are
of course
going to do.
Of course.
Yeah, and Brady for rent. I mean, he's been kind of on that wrong side of the points scored, points against. He leads your conference in in your division in points, and he's sitting there at 0-4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Michael, I didn't even really honestly notice that. Why would you run a tight end out there from Green Bay instead of Stephon Diggs?
He's chasing points from 2 weeks ago when they played the Falcons and Tanyan had that big, I don't know if it was 2 or 3 touchdowns, but he scored a bunch of points. So it's basically, my guess would be chasing points from 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. He can really, he'll fit in well with my stable of wide receivers. So one day are all going to play together and do well. All right. Anyway, enough of Gang Green.
Yeah, let's go on to the next matchup, the Autumn Wind versus the Bag or the Bat. This is very low score for Autumn Wind. I mean, he's normally high up there, so something happened.
Yeah, well, this was, this is the highest scoring division out of all the conferences. This is, they've really been battling in that division. 115 isn't horrible, but it's not what he's been putting up this season.
Mm-hmm.
So Tay was able to handle that by just getting scores from everybody across the board outside of Odell. He get the big day, the big garbage time out of Justin Jefferson. And that kind of just put the nail in the coffin. But Tay's team was good from top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
We'll monitor what happens with Clyde Edwards-Helaire going forward with Le'Veon coming in.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at Tay's bench, he basically played the right, the optimal lineup. And even Autumn Wind, he pretty much went optimal.
Wow.
Jonnu Smith, with DK on the bench, or DK and Keenan Allen on buys, he went with Jonnu Smith, who ended up getting an ankle injury early. Tough to win games when you're running out, a tight end and Devontae Freeman out there.
Yeah. It's tough to win games when Ezekiel Elliott's vomiting all over the field. I noticed that he wasn't saying feed him anymore throughout the game there, which is always one of my favorite things. I could spend the entire podcast just bashing on the Cowboys. That's as bad of a performance I've seen out of a team in a long time. He led the way right off the bat in the first quarter. I agree with you on most other things on that, though. Didn't you know the Cardinals should be the defensive starting time out of that? Justin Jefferson, Tate, let's just be real. Tate just has a knack for this shit. Nobody's going to own Justin Jefferson again this year. He's going to drop him this week. If you do, you're going to chase points like you mentioned earlier. And the only reason he did anything was just pure garbage time. But yet Tate benefited from 47 points. So I give up, man.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I do believe – I believe in Justin Jefferson, so I don't see Tay dropping him, and I definitely, if he's not rostered on the other side, he will be picked up because he's basically just taken that Stephon Diggs role. He's on the field 90% of the time, and I think he does have to be rostered. If we're talking top 40 pass catchers, I do believe that he is in the top 40, and I think that we're going to get a couple more, that he's going to gain some stability, and Minnesota is not a great team, so they are going to have to throw the ball. So we're going to see what's going on with one of these top. How many good rookies are there this year at the wide receiver position? It's just been phenomenal this year.
And let's go to the last matchup of our conference: Bruins Maniac versus Ninja Assassin. And can I get my props for picking up T Higgins here? And he did fairly well. I mean, no name, nobody else picked him up. Come on, man. What?
Yeah,
Why
I
are you
mean,
sighing, Rob?
we should lead with your brilliance, in an 83-point loss here, Sam.
Yes,
So
yes.
T Higgins put up a whopping 15. That's right up
Yeah.
there. 20% better than Mike Davis filling in the backup role.
Yeah, what happened to Mike
I'm
Evans?
just going to turn this over to you guys here. We have the Sun versus the host. Have fun.
What do you think, Michael? What happened to Mike Evans and Tom Brady connection?
Well, the thing with Mike Evans is it's been funny this year. If you look at the games that he's played with and without Chris Godwin, so the 3 games that Chris Godwin has played in, Mike Evans has had 2 catches, 1 catch, and 1 catch. So I don't know and then those games that Chris Godwin has not played, he's been in that 7 to 10 catch range. So I don't know if Brady's just focused on the slot and not getting him outside or what, but it is definitely weird to see him with so few receptions and so few targets when they're both on the field. I mean, I know that they're a lot better team than they were last year when Jameis was getting them into trouble and then having to pass them out of it, and they're able to run the ball. So, I mean, I still like Mike Evans going forward, but it definitely has been a struggle rostering him this season.
Yeah. And let's go look at Bruins real quick. Derrick Henry, 67.
Well, right back to our big play scoring. When you bust out a 90-yard touchdown, I mean, you're talking how many points for the rushing touchdown? Is it 8? Or is the rushing touchdown still 10? So 10 plus 9 is 19 plus the 90. I mean, that's a 27-point play. And then if it's
double that up, baby.
Yeah, if you're getting over the 100-yard bonus, especially if it's in the fourth quarter, then you're talking a 30-something point play. So when you hit on those, I mean, it's hard to come back. And I will go ahead and say that this will not be Derrick Henry's last 60-point game of the season, because he only gets better as the season goes on. And you just have to respect him.
Yeah.
One thing I'll comment on that is that I think I felt prey to not having to listen to Nolan tell me that it was a bad pick if you take Derrick Henry there. But something you don't consider necessarily as a draft is that Derrick Henry not only gets better as the season goes on, he gets better as the game goes on. And you run into a situation there to where, I mean, those plays, you're right. I mean, it's been kind of a staple of this league for 20 years, is those monster plays will do it. But he has a knack for rolling those off in the fourth quarter. So as you kind of mentioned, that's a 19-point play on the touchdown, but then you're basically doubling that up on the above 100 thing there, and it's really, I think he picks up 18 points. So that's a 37-yard run. And, I mean, it's a monster play at the end of the game there. And it's just something I didn't really, you just don't consider going in, because usually you're used to seeing your big time guys, riding the pine third quarter. What am I, an idiot? So very interesting point there.
And
and 169 points with 2 goose eggs. I mean, that's a lot of points. So
and then
props
one
to props to Bruin for putting out a solid roster. Cooper Kupp just had a weird day. Ended up dropping a couple passes, didn't get too involved. But that Rams offense is going to make it a struggle to play these guys on a weekly basis.
Let's go to the next conference, Michael's conference, the Hart Foundation versus Big Revis. Oh, interesting.
Oh, man. This is, I mean, I my best thing that I can say here is I'm just going to remind Mr. Revis that we have a waiver wire and we have an IR. We put those things in the league since he's been gone. So this is, you mentioned roster construction earlier. This was kind of man, you had a lot of guys not playing this week, Michael. Pretty easy game for Hart Foundation. That being said, Hart Foundation stepped right up. I mean, the quarterback's 87, big game out of Julio. He had a nice damn week there, man. So, maybe Big Revis and figured he wasn't going to win either way. But yeah, that kind of got that kind of came in with a shoe missing, I guess.
Yeah, so you got the 87 points from the quarterback. I mean, he's Cody was the one who drafted Kyler and Dak, so he drops Dak and picks up Tannehill, who seems to always be on and off the waiver wire. But do you think, Rob, now that Ryan Tannehill is basically just a plug and play guy, doesn't really matter the matchup? Because again, they run the ball so well and they get everything off of play action that I don't even think that it's matchup based anymore. I really think that it's become plug and play.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about he's going to have some games where Tennessee's just going to play a grinder, but yeah, I think he's absolutely a guy you can just run out there. He's a great number two, and probably, as I'll point out, our last season of number two quarterbacks anyway. But he's a great number two to run out there and roll with it. So
yeah,
I mean, the waiver wire is a little thin on these guys.
Yeah, it really is. The back end of the quarterbacks are just not good at all.
Yeah, and it's something that's kind of bothered me with my draft strategy there anyway. I think I underestimated just, it really is. It's like the top, 15 guys are just kind of killed. And usually I go with the theory that, 5 through 20 isn't really that different, but 5 through 20 is quite a bit different this year. So, yeah,
I do agree.
What's Cody's record at right now?
I believe he now moved to, is that 2-2 or is he 3-1? I believe it is. Looking at it right now.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, he's leading that division out right now, which he leads the division in points, has the least amount of points scored against him. So that is the recipe for leading your division.
I'm supposed to say something nice about his wide receivers, but I'm not going to. So anyway, go ahead.
Then I'll say it. Mr. No touchdown Julio Jones scores 2 in a game, and when that happens, you're going to win most of the time.
Waiting for him to come back. It's nice to have him back.
Yes. Let's go over to our next matchup: High Rollers versus Degenerate Bastard. Very close one, Michael.
Yeah, very close until about 2 minutes left in a game.
It wasn't close at all. God.
So I believe I was up. I believe I was up by 39. No, I was up by 45. Yeah, I was up by 45 going into the game. Mm-hmm. Kenyon Drake, he's having a decent game. He's got his 100 and a touchdown pretty much, and with about 2 minutes left, up by 28, he busted off a 67-yard touchdown to bury me. And it's funny because I think it had to be I think it had to be over 50. I think if it's a 40-something yard touchdown, he doesn't get enough. But it had to be that distance, and Manny being able to recover from negative 3 points from Aaron Rodgers and get a win, his first win, which he needed really bad. My hat goes off to Manny. The rest of his squad played really well. I mean, if you would have looked at his team before the game started and said, who am I most afraid of? I'm going to say the Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams combo, the one that only put together 3 positive points for him. So to roll out 2 quarterbacks and to get 9 points, the rest of his team produced. He he did the same thing Tay did, picked up the rookie wide receiver in Claypool. Plays them over 2 great players too, and A.J. Brown and George Kittle, and ends up getting the win. So my hat's off to Manny. I'm going to have to figure out a few things on my own end with Ryan Fitzpatrick getting the bench for Tua, probably losing Clyde as a RB1 down to an RB2, and I'm going to have to figure out some things.
Well, all right, I got to jump in here because, first of all, I mean, you pretty much just summarized it in your text response to that, the old garbage time gut punch, and I was playing against that guy too, and I had big lead at that point. I mean, 40 points, 30 points, whatever it is. And you just watching this game, and I'm going, dude, this Cowboys team's quit. I mean, it looks like they straight up quit. Mm-hmm. And I was very nervous when he went back on the field and I told Nolan, I go, dude, of course you're not running Hopkins out there. They're running him out there, and I'm kind of a little surprised why he's on the field in that situation anyway. You know, you got a guy that's supposed to be your running back. He did give up some trade capital, and it's just like it almost seemed pretty doubt it's going to bother to. They're just going to piss off the entire play and not even try. And ran in there, and I mean, it wasn't even. He didn't have to even really break any tackles. He just kind of jogged down the field. It was ridiculous, like a 40-yard coronation, trot. So that's rough, man. Because kind of when you look at it, Manny's got a good team, no question about it. Aaron Rodgers played down. That's who you're nervous about, but you kind of got that game done at that point. That's just what you call as bad a beat as it's going to happen. And of course, the 153, 149 will never stand up for the bad beat. I could probably go on with Hilaire. I don't think he's going down into number 2 territory. If anything, I think this is going to allow them to move him into other aspects of the game. They loved him as a pass catcher coming out of there, and that offense in Kansas City. I mean, that game the other day was just straight up. It looked like the 1991 Christian Okoye version of the offense, which I loved. I think that offense has a lot more wrinkles to come, and I think he's going to get a lot more out of there going with it. So.
Well, I definitely think that he could be 100-yard back on any given night. It's just the problem with scoring touchdowns. I mean, he has had a couple touchdowns that have been called back due to some penalties. So, but the fact of how much they take him out inside the 20 for Darrell Williams, let alone bringing Le'Veon in, I do think he's going to have to break him outside the 20 yards to be able to get some touchdowns on the board. Hopefully, he gets even more involved in the pass game, like you said, and he is able to still establish himself in that top 8 back area.
Yeah. I don't really know how much Le'Veon's going to bring to the field there, but anyway, we probably drew on that. He's a nice looking player, though, isn't he?
Oh man,
Hilaire.
He's going to have I think he's going to have a great career.
Yeah, he looks like Ray Rice out there. It blows me away, man. I mean, he really does. So, and Ray Rice is a hell of a player. So,
let's go on to our next matchup. Straight LA versus Sister Twister, 202 to 81. Is this the largest margin of victory right here?
It's going to have to be. And, and it could have been a lot more. DeAndre Hopkins had a great week 1, this probably isn't the time to sit around and talk about the what's going on with Kyler Murray because he doesn't look that good. And it's a week where he had 45, but he had some big play stuff. But it's concerning. And this is, Scotty got 202 without Juju. And it's obviously he benefited from the Derrick Henry, but that's, nice week. Ronald Jones, Will Fuller, got everybody clicking. He just needed Brandon McManus out there. 22 points out of a kicker. Come on. That has to be a typo, right? Straight LA?
6 field goals.
6 field goals, man. That's straight LA. This is just one of those games. We're just going to point out that you got 100%. You aced the test with those 81 points. You could not have done anything better. So it's just one of those. You flush down the toilet and move on, Scotty. That 121 may stay up for the large marge.
Yeah, I definitely think that's going to fight and hold. I do think that one will hold. That is definitely a large margin. And what you're saying with Hopkins is even with these last 2 out of 3 weeks where he's been underneath 10 points, I still think on the season he's still wide receiver number 3 or 4. So a couple down weeks, hasn't been able to get in the end zone, and but he's definitely one of those guys that you just plug in every play, you deal with the bad games, and you take all his good games.
Oh yeah, I mean, week 3, God, I'm looking at straight LA's team here. He's got a nice team. It's just he just happens to have a lot of guys flatline this week. No Russell Wilson, no Gordon, Metcalf out. God.
Yeah, no Russell, no DK. That's been 60 points a week right there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those. Hey, it's taking to move on. It's a 10-week season though. You hate to. I mean, I came out of the gate 0-2, and I was like, "Is it over? Is it over?" So, and I cannot wait to go back to a 14-game season where you can have weeks like this and survive. But hey, COVID.
Yeah. Let's go on to our final matchup: Savs versus Wolfpack. Another close game, 107-106.
Michael, let's finish with you, brother.
Well, I would like to start with Alexander Madison. I mean, I don't think anybody expected him to reel in 2 points, getting the full workload with Dalvin being out. So seeing those 2 points has got to be real disappointing when you use your waiver wire and burn it on Madison, he's basically a 1-game rental. They go on by and then Cook comes back. So if I was Todd and picking up Alexander Madison and I play him right away and I'm looking for a lot more than 2 points. There was no games. There's no players involved in the late games for these. So these guys were done on Sunday. Jaime on the other side, he loses another running back. He already lost Nick Chubb. Now he's going to lose Raheem Mostert. So going to be very interesting to see what he's able to do at running back because he's got Devontae Freeman and Justin Jackson on the bench. So Jaime's definitely been one of those teams that have been riddled with injuries. His number 2 streaming quarterback hasn't been fantastic. I mean, 21 points from Gardner is pretty good in your number 2 quarterback, but he's going to have to keep streaming that number 2 quarterback. He's going to have to find some capable running backs and be able to turn this thing around. If there's one person that I expect to make it work on the waiver wire, it's going to be Jaime.
Just out of volume alone.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm noticing then the 508, which I'm a little 493, so it's he's a low scoring man over on your side. Yeah, this year's crazy. So it's just the injuries are getting out of hand, and it is what it is. Well, we'll see what he's got to throw. Yeah. Kay's got 5 pickups this week because he won. I figured Manny's got 14 because he lost. So better keep him on. Maybe.
And all right. Thanks for tuning in. And thanks again, Michael, for joining us. You're definitely welcome anytime with Rob and I during these, for these podcasts. So thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, man, anytime. I enjoy coming on here and being able to shoot the shit about some fantasy football. So I know it's only a 10-week season and it's a lot different this year, but hey, the rules apply to all of us. And that's my favorite thing about fantasy football is no rule can give anybody any type of edge. So if you're dealing with it, your opponent's got to deal with it too. So we'll get through this season and hopefully everything gets back to normal next season. If not, we'll run it back the same damn way again.
Yeah, we'll do a couple things different, but hey, Michael, thank you for myself, and I'd also like to say, Sam, he actually gives some love to these 107, 106 games, man.
He does. Rob would not.
I'm like, yeah.
Rob, let's go next.
All right, guys.
Next. Well, thank you very much for tuning in, and hit those waiver wires tomorrow afternoon, guys, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Good luck, everybody. Have a good one.